Okay, so here we are with another Masters of the Universe Origins unboxing from the cartoon collection, and this is She-Ra, most powerful woman in the universe. And modeled on her Filmation version, looking very cool. But before I get started with this episode, some sad news. Since the last episode we did, I've received the news, like I'm sure a lot of you out there have, that the original voice actor for He-Man, John Irwin, passed away at the age of 88, which, 88, that's a ripe old age, and any of us should be lucky to hit 88. But, it's never too early. It's never too early to lose somebody. So, a lot of us are in mourning over losing our childhood hero like that. So my heart goes out to his friends and family and all of those who survived him, and of course my fellow Masters of the Universe fans who we grew up with that guy as the voice of He-Man, and he had a very prolific voice acting career. Probably the thing he was most famous for, maybe even more famous than He-Man, was he was the voice of Morris the Cat on the Nine Lives commercials. So Captain Half Fun says John was not in good shape. I wish this She-Ra came with hair. You mean like rooted hair? I'll talk about that in a little bit. But but yeah, I'm looking forward to getting this one opened up. This is, as far as I'm concerned, the channel that Masters of the Universe Origins built. The very first action figure unboxing I did on this channel was because I got the first Origins version of He-Man, and I was so excited to find it that I just had to do a video talking about it. So that's what started this whole thing. So anyway, here's what the back of the package looks like, and we got a nice piece of artwork. It says, as seen on the treasure of the first ones. So I don't know if there's anything specific about this figure that, or if they just, picked an episode that they liked or something like that. But it's a nice piece of artwork. You see Seahawk in there. You see Octavia, I think that character's name was. She didn't get a figure. And there's some cross-sell artwork on the back. A humble 3 figures this time. We got She-Ra, we got Ram Man, and we got Mantenna. Lone Dragon says, we don't like bald She-Ra? Well, if you do like bald She-Ra, I would suggest you get one of the vintage She-Ra figures and just cut all the hair off. That'd probably be the easiest way to do that. Honestly, with this one, you could maybe pull the hair off of it. It's a separate piece. So maybe if you heated it up, you could peel it off. Then you got a bald She-Ra, or just take another action figure head that's bald and stick it on there. Like, I know they had the Bill Burr Star Wars action figure at Ollie's. I almost bought it today. But yeah, you could pop Bill Burr's head on there, and then you'd have a bald She-Ra. So that would be nice. Captain Half Fun says, sweet artwork. I'll get this figure. I was actually waiting because of the plastic hair. We're going to discuss that. All right. So this wave has different artwork than what we've seen on the previous of the cartoon collection, other than the kind of blue background with the green Castle Grayskull. Everything's lit up red with fire, and we have Hordak himself staring over. Obviously because She-Ra, is new to this line, so they're highlighting She-Ra. I wonder if the other figures will still have the more traditional one, like maybe the because I haven't seen those yet. This was the only one I pre-ordered. I didn't get Ram Man or Mantenna. I don't know if I'm going to wind up getting those. But I guess I'll have to check that out and see if maybe just the She-Ra action figures have the Hordak backing to them. I do know that they are putting out an animated Hordak, so we'll have that to look forward to. Anyway, let's go ahead and open her up. Card seems a little thicker than usual. So for the next couple of days, I'm going to be opening these new Origins figures that I got. Well, they're new to me. The other 2 are older. This one just came out. But the other 2 that I have for you to open this week is I have King Randor. Was finally able to get him. He's a re-release, a fan favorite, as you were. And also a re-release and a fan favorite, I have the mini comics version of Trapjaw. So those will be the next 2 figures that I open. Also, here in the United States, this is Black History Month, so I will be opening up some Black characters. I have a few that I bought a while back, and hadn't gotten around to opening yet. And I kind of, when I realized February is coming up, I might as well do it in February and make a thing of it. But we'll be opening some various Marvel Legends, and I've got this Mr. Terrific back here I need to open up, and I've got do I have him around? Yeah, somewhere. Yeah, here we go. Static Shock. I got him to open up. So we're gonna have fun with that this month. It's not gonna all be Black characters because obviously this is about as Caucasian as you can get. But but we're gonna do some just to because I thought that would be a fun way to observe that. So anyway, let's go ahead and she's got the weapons in the front of the package, which I'm not used to. I'm used to the package, them being in like a little baggie, stuck to the back of the bubble. Captain Have Fun says the cape looks pretty good. Please let us know what type of fabric it is. I'm sure polyester, but because of the texture, it looks to me like it's actually not a soft goods cape. Which again, I will discuss that when I get to it. But I think it's not a soft goods cape. That's my suspicion. So I never really liked the cape that came with the first Origins She-Ra. Like I pointed out in that unboxing back when I did that, is that I was not fond of like really any of the soft goods that came with that figure. I thought that was kind of disappointing. So if it is a plastic cape, well, at least it'd be better than the soft goods we got before. Captain Tasman says Icon just got released. I'll do him in a few days. That's another one I'm really looking forward to. Although I kind of figure if you're gonna have Icon, you need to have Rocket, and I haven't seen Rocket yet. But McFarlane does seem kind of a little reluctant to do some female characters a lot of the times. But hopefully they'll get around to Rocket. You gotta have Rocket if you're gonna have Icon. You wouldn't have Icon if you didn't have Rocket. It was her idea in the first place. But yeah, I got the Static Shock figure when I ordered some stuff from Big Bad Toy Store a while back. It was a couple of shipments ago, actually. And I saw they had him on sale for $10 on there. And I'm like, I can't turn down Static for $10. That's a ridiculously good deal. So, yep, this is indeed a plastic cape. And it's just kind of like a matte red plastic, as you can see. So, but it's a short cape. So I don't think it would interfere too much with her sitting in the vehicles. Oops, I popped her apart. Well, that's going to happen because those are supposed to come apart. There's what she looks like without the skirt, by the way. I just thought it'd be fun to see that real quick. All right, so what did I do with the comic book? I know I filled out the comic book. Since we have a new comic book, I'm going to read it. And there's what the cover looks like. And I like this cover because it reminds me a lot of the artwork that you'd see on the older Princess of Power comics. Captain Have Fun says, I thought Rocket was only around in the new comics. No, she was in the first series. She was in the first series. I'll talk more about that another episode. I'll talk more about that when I actually open up the Icon figure. We'll get into all that. I might want to actually even go back and reread it just to refresh my memory. But basically, it was her idea for him to become Icon in the first place. But anyway, let's have a look at the comic book real quick. So it says Planet Etheria, and we have a shot of She-Ra on Swiftwind, and it says, against the dark heavens, sinister outline gains definition, a malevolent force which seeks to infest Etheria and all realms beyond. Luckily, there are those who will fight it. You see the Crystal Castle, Bo, She-Ra, Glimmer, and she's talking to He-Man and Teela and Ram Man on this screen, and they're surrounded by like some green goopy stuff. And it says, Masters, a terrible armada approaches. Etheria needs reinforcements. And He-Man says, fear not, sister. Hope is on the way. Hordak has returned. Oh, that's a nice image. So, I can hold on. Oh, maybe, but I don't know when I'm going to be able to get a hold of mine. Don't hold out on my account. I mean, I'll show up and do it if you want, but I don't think I'll have my figure yet. I haven't seen him yet. So I meant to try to go to GameStop today, and I might have seen him if I went to GameStop. I think I'll try to run by GameStop tomorrow. See if I can find him. But I'll let you know. I'll let you know. But I will keep that in mind. So here we have Hordak surrounded by many of his henchmen. You see Modulok, Leech, Mantana, and this looks like they're teamed up with the Snake Men, and they've captured He-Man and Man-at-Arms. And Hordak says, First Etheria, then Eternia. I shall unleash a nightmare wrath these worlds have never known. Long have I waited in the cosmic shadows, massing my forces against as the masters battled the Snake Men. Now both sides have depleted their strength. My time has come. Through cunning, I have escaped Despondos, returning to Horde World. There I marshaled our forces to build a new fleet. Across countless light years, we have silently traveled, and at this very moment, we are perfectly poised. Carefully, I've curated my strategy to avoid the pitfalls of the past. The conquest of Etheria is now mine. You gotta do the little pig sound when you do. Captain Halfstone says, I won't get mine until tomorrow at the very earliest. I think McFarlane just nailed it. It does look like a really cool figure. I'm very excited about that. All right, so Hordak says, launch the Star Strike. And through the orbital advantage, Hordak's Hell Fleet spat death and fire across the land. Hell Fleet? That's a word you don't expect to see in a children's comic book included with a toy. But whatever. Then we have She-Ra riding into battle on Swiftwind. We got Angela, or is it Angela? And I don't know all the Princess of Power characters. We got like a butterfly character in there. I know like the main ones, but I never had a lot of the Princess of Power figures because they were a little too girly for me. I had She-Ra, I had Kashra. I think that was it. I had those two. My cousin had a lot of them, and I mainly remember the ones she had, I guess. So it says, squadrons of Horde gliders clash with She-Ra's Pegasus Cavalry. It says Calvary, but I think you mean cavalry. Calvary is like a biblical thing. Isn't that where like Jesus was crucified or something? I don't remember. Anyway, I think that was a typo. Which, as a dyslexic, I especially... Flutterina! That's her name. Thank you, Lone Dragon. And Peekaboo. I remember that one. A great sacrifice, the horses... At great sacrifices, the forces of Etheria repelled the squadrons of Horde gliders. But lo, the victory the Etherians won was short-lived. Their efforts were against but a fraction of the Horde forces. That was so formal the way that I had to say against. Calvary is where Christ died. That's what I thought. Okay. All right. I remember my grandfather used to go to a Calvary church. That's how I remember that. So, meanwhile, on planet Eternia, the Masters assemble to aid their sister world. We got a nice shot of Teela right there with an unfortunately placed word balloon hiding her cleavage. But whatever, it's a kid's comic. I guess I shouldn't complain. But you get to see Teela, She-Ra's cleavage, so, whatever. Women have cleavage. Just deal with it, okay? No, don't be prudes about it. I mean, you don't have to be show-offy about it in a kid's comic either, but you don't have to be prudes about it. Kids know that those exist. All right, so He-Man, the balloons also are kind of out of order here because He-Man's balloon should actually be above the Sorceress's balloon, which is above Teela's chest. Captain Halfon says, "Too bad they don't release a Swiftwind with her." Yeah, that would be really cool. Like, I would of course like to see more beasts and vehicles in the line because I really like them. But I guess like shelf space is at a premium these days. And I did see a lot of vehicles that got marked down, so that might be part of the problem. I don't know. It'd be cool to see though. Maybe if I could get another one of those McFarlane Jonah Hex horses and do something with that. I don't know. Maybe. We'll see. He-Man says, "Sorceress, we must do something. If we don't break through, She-Ra and the Great Rebellion are doomed." And then Sorceress says, "Alas, masters, Hordak's sorcery blockaded the gateways between Eternia and Etheria. Not even my magic can dispel it. Indeed they are. So then it says, Mantenna says, Lord Hordak, Etheria is nearly ours. The Crystal Castle is under siege. Excellent. I wish to witness its fall with my own eyes. And then She-Ra says, Light Hope, I call upon you. What must we do? And from beyond shone forth a light emanating pure good. She-Ra, brave warrior, though Hordak wields untold might, nothing is more powerful than the true heart. Fight, protect your people. Good shall always prevail. It must. And then Hordak says, after Etheria falls, we shall unleash our dominion over Eternia and beyond. The Horde invasion has begun. So then we're left on a kind of a cliffhanger, because that's the end of the comic. So maybe more of these will be included with the next assortment. Maybe this is the same figure that comes with Mantenna and Ram Man come with the same comic. I don't know, because I don't have those two yet. Lone Dragon says Cleveland. That's a euphemism for fun bags. Yeah, that's a way to put it. So Captain Have Fun says I like the cartoon line. I've never seen it in stores. Things sell out fast in LA. I've seen at least here. I've seen the wave, like this. I think the second and third waves. I know I've seen. I've got Teela. Teela was the first one I got. I've got Trapjaw. Got Man-at-Arms. I've got Skeletor. I've got Evelyn and Webstore and Merman. I did not get Beastman or He-Man. I've never seen those in the stores. He-Man is kind of expensive to get right now, so I'm not sure when I'll be able to get a He-Man. So, yep, it's the She-Ra cartoon. Radical Toy says, hello all, and hello to you too. Lone Dragon says stores don't sell Motu or classified at all here anymore. I'm sorry to hear that. So some Walmarts around my area do, and some do not have Masters of the Universe. Some do and do not have G.I. Joe. There's even some that don't have any of the McFarlane DC toys, or any DC toys for that matter. Radical Toys says, we don't get the Motu in stores here in Canada. Oh my. No, like we need to get these in all the stores everywhere. Now this one I didn't see in the store. This one I pre-ordered on Big Bad Toy Store, and I was glad. All three of these I got on Big Bad Toy Store that I'll be opening up this week, and the other two in case for any latecomers. We got Trapjaw from the mini comic, and we got King Randor. So those will be one of those I will open up next episode, and the one will be the episode after that. And then I think I'll probably do Static Shock probably. And that'll be my first Black History Month character. So anyway, let's go ahead and have a look at She-Ra. And she does have the hair sculpted, as Captain Have Fun pointed out. But I think that was probably, again, since this is supposed to be like a cartoon version of She-Ra, and her hair is drawn in a very distinct way, they probably wanted to stick with that. Probably also the reason that she has a plastic cape rather than a soft goods cape. Let's pop her head off. We're going to have a look at this cape. And you can see that the cape, it comes on like a little gold collar that fits around her neck. And her skirt is removable. So if you don't want to have her wear a skirt or a cape, for whatever reason, you can take all this stuff off of her. So, I believe her shorts underneath, I believe that's the same pelvis piece that Teela has. So it looks like the same one that Teela has anyway. While we got the cape and the skirt off of her, let's have a talk about articulation. All right, so she can look up about that far. She-Ra can look down about that far. She can kind of tilt her head quizzically from side to side, rotate the head all the way around. It's not too encumbered by the hair at this point, but it might be when we put the cape back on. We'll talk about that when we get to it. She-Ra can rotate her arms all the way around at the shoulders, but they do kind of bend inwards a little bit, it looks like. No, they don't. Usually these female ones do, but this one doesn't. She does seem to have like slightly more muscular arms, but I might just be thinking about that because of the armbands that were on Teela. I will also check out your channel, Radical Toys, and I might have even seen some of your videos at some point. Who knows? But I'll go ahead and give it a watch. So yeah. So there's that, and her arms can raise up about that far. And since this is an Origins figure, her arm pops off, and her, we already saw how she pops apart at the middle. So it's just, you can swap all the parts around on these figures. So she's got a single joint of articulation at the elbow. Straightened, it looks about like that. Bent, it looks about like that. And it rotates all the way around. She's got a single joint of articulation at the wrist. Rotates all the way around. And this one has a vertical joint on it, probably so she can hold aloft the sword. We'll get to that in a little bit. The left hand has a horizontal joint on it. So that's different on that. She-Ra can kick up about that far. She can't kick back too far because her buttocks get in the way. But she can kick forward about that far. Bend at the knee about 90 degrees. Not quite 90 degrees, but pretty close to it. And then knee rotates all the way around. This is the newer style of knee on these figures that look a little bit more naturalistic than those earlier knees. And that's about that for the articulation. So, wait, knee articulation. So, not knee articulation. Oh yeah. So she's got a boot cut. Boot rotates all the way around, and the ankles. That's the word I was looking for. Ankles point down about that far and point up about that far, and it's on a rocker ankles, and then that rotates all the way around. So let's put her skirt back on, and I want to have a look and see how her articulation does with the skirt. And I keep snapping her at the okay, let's just hold the pelvis while we do that. And as you can see, it doesn't really technically interfere with our articulation too much, but it does kind of push up on the skirt, and that just kind of push the waist around. Radical Toys says that Captain Have Fun says, please hit like, everyone. Hey, that's good advice. Radical Toys says he subbed. Thanks for keeping the fun going. Always nice to, I'm sorry, I read that wrong because he tagged Radical. Captain Have Fun says he subbed to Radical Toys, so that's cool. Thanks for keeping the fun going. Always nice to meet another collector. Alan is awesome. Oh, shucks. Radical Toys said he just stumbled across here just now and definitely did the something like. Thank you very much. Very kind of you. And I love She-Ra. Don't we all? I've always loved She-Ra. So let's go ahead and pop the head back off so we can put her cape back on. And I do want to have a look, see how the articulation is affected by the cape. And indeed, I can still rotate her head all the way around. It's a little more snug, again, because of the cape, but it still does make it all the way around. It seems to me like if you did want to have a soft goods cape for this figure, it would be very easy to make one. If you have some gold elastic and maybe like a little bit of, I'd probably use like red spandex, probably be like, I would think the best thing. If I could, if it was affordable for me to get one in good shape, I would probably, with the previous, or not this one I'd leave as it is, but the previous Origin She-Ra, I would try to get the soft goods from the original She-Ra figure, but it seems like those are hard to find in good shape for a decent price. And it seems to me like the cheapest way to get that would be to just buy the entire figure. And if I did buy the entire figure complete, I'd probably want to keep the entire figure complete. So this will probably be my default She-Ra as far as the Origins figures goes. Lone Dragon says, I like turtles. I like turtles as well. I don't really open enough of them on this channel. I've done some. Like I know I did the movie 2-pack of Shredder and Splinter. I'd like to get more of those because I really like those, but those have kind of dried up around here. And I do kind of want to get the Casey Jones with the motorcycle, though. Even though I don't really have the movie Turtles themselves, I still feel like those figures work really well with the original NECA Ninja Turtles that I have. So here she is holding aloft the Sword of Honor with the or Sword of Protection. I'm sorry, it's for the honor of Grayskull. But you can see they've got the gem. It's just painted on there with blue paint. And then she's got the shield, which technically is supposed to be the sword, like transmuted into another form. But I oftentimes just, whatever. I'm going to have her hold both the shield and the sword because I think it looks cool. whatever. And the original toy came with both the shield and a sword that weren't supposed to be the same exact thing. Captain Have Fun says, why not make a cape? It's not that hard. No, it would not be that hard. All you really have to do with this is what I would do is make like a little loop of gold elastic, and then I would kind of just fold the top of the cape like over. Actually, I'd probably make the complete the loop last, but kind of fold the fabric over the cape so that way it would. Then you could just kind of turn the loop around so that the part of the loop that you sewed or tied or whatever would be underneath the red fabric. Alan78331 says, is He-Man and She-Ra brother and sister, or are they step brother and sister? They are twins. They are twins. Hordak captured She-Ra when she was just a baby, which is why they did not grow up together. And by the way, thank you for spelling your name correctly. Captain Have Fun says, cut fabric, take gold string, and hot glue it to that while it's around her neck. Yeah, hot glue would be another way to do that. I'd probably just sew it, because it just seems to me like I tend to sew things. Some people tend to hot glue things. Some people tend to sew things. I'm a guy who tends to sew things. Anyway, yep, twins. So there we go. But yeah, she's the twin sister of He-Man. I do not have an Origins He-Man over here at the moment, I don't think. All I have to show off He-Man is I have the Battle Armor He-Man from Revolution, and those aren't even in the same scale, unfortunately. So they did a nice job with the sword. It looks very much as you would expect, like it does in the Filmation cartoon. It's a nice bright silver. It is a little, yeah, that would be the most simplistic way. But it'd be a lot easier for people who don't know how to sew to do it that way. But it's I don't think there's like necessarily a right way or a wrong way to do it. Just whatever you prefer. But I like to sew things. That's usually how I like to do my cape. Now, what I used to do sometimes in the old days is if I wanted to do like a Superman style cape, what I could do was like drill a small hole on either side of their neck and kind of glue the fabric inside of it, kind of put some glue in there and kind of stuff the fabric in there. That was the way I did that sometimes. Sewing would be the most sturdy. Yeah, probably. So, I mean, like I said, a lot of that kind of stuff just depends on how you want to do it. Like, and there's I think, certain pros and cons to each way of doing it. So yeah, I figure that they probably molded her hair because they wanted to make sure it looked like, since it's a figure, it's supposed to look like as much like the cartoon as possible. They the molded hair gives them a little more control over that. Personally, when I was a kid, I didn't really like brushing hair on my action figures. I know it's something girls like to do, and it made sense for them to do it on like the She-Ra toy line, which was supposed to appeal just as much to girls as to boys, if not more so. And girls love brushing their doll hair, so it totally made sense on that. But me personally, the hair would wind up getting tangled because I didn't want to fool with that. That's like doing chores. I don't want to do chores. I don't even want to brush my own hair. I'm 8 years old. Excuse me, I'm still a little congested because that cold I had a while back. Radical Toy says, I really want Adora in the white nightgown during the Filmation Secret of the Sword episode, and while they're at it, Sorceress from Sorceress from New Adventures. That's a good idea. I would like to see that. I was thinking like the Sorceress from 2000X at first, but no, yeah, the New Adventures, that would be pretty cool. They haven't done a whole lot of New Adventures yet. I know they did like a He-Man that was like an exclusive in like a box set somewhere. The one I'm talking about, where it's like 4 different versions of He-Man. And I kept expecting they would release that at some point on a single card, but I haven't seen them do it yet. But they do have, the regular Origins He-Man and the Origins He-Man with the vintage head, and they have, of course, the Filmation version and the 2000X version. So it seems to me like they should probably do a single card on a He-Man there. That would make sense. Radical Toy says, Yeah, Sorceress is my favorite Motu character. She is a favorite of mine as well. I really like the Sorceress. Captain Halfline says, I have the New Adventures He-Man and Skeletors, but nothing else from the line. I really liked kind of the aesthetic of Skeletor in that line, but I miss him having the hood. I think if they'd have done a New Adventures Skeletor that had a hood, it would wind up looking kind of like Laser Skeletor. But that would be one that I would have really liked as a kid. Uh, uh, He-Man himself in New Adventures, I kind of felt like they did not have enough of that fantasy barbarian aesthetic that I liked, and they leaned a little too heavily into the sci-fi with those. And I kind of felt like it made He-Man look kind of generic. Like, like to me, if you'd have showed me at that age the He-Man figure and said, "Hey, this is a new Flash Gordon action figure," I probably would have believed you. I probably said, "Oh, that's a cool design for Flash Gordon." I would have liked. But they did kind of get back to like the super buff look on He-Man later. Like I think it was called Thunder Punch He-Man. That one was a bit more buff. And there was another one, I don't remember the name of it, that had like a removable neon translucent green harness. Looked kind of like the same kind of translucent green as the Power Sword in that line. I forget what that one was called, but that one was like the exact proportions of like the old He-Man figures. So I think that was a little too late though. If they'd have had uh, He-Man looking more like that in the first wave, I think that line probably would have done better. Captain Halfline says the New Adventure Skeletor is really well balanced, no foot peg needed, much better than the '87 movie version. And then Alan says, "Yeah, He-Man in space, or He-Man is the new Flash Gordon." I do love Flash Gordon, though. Like, I think that's obvious to anybody that I love Flash Gordon. Flash. Ah. Are there any other toys that I collect? Yeah, I collect. Right now, most of the things that I unbox on this channel is the McFarlane DC stuff, GI Joe Classified, and whatever He-Man is coming out that I can get my hands on. But really, I open pretty much anything that I buy and I like on this channel. So, in fact, another figure that I got, I'm not sure when I'm going to get around to opening it, but I might as well show you sometime soon. I do love my classic monsters, and I was able to get the new Mummy figure that actually looks like in his unwrapped form how he actually is in most of the movie. So I was pretty excited to get this. Like the Mummy, I think it's not my favorite of the Universal monster movies, but I do kind of feel like it's one of the more underrated ones. I think the Mummy is an excellent film. So yeah, NECA, lots of NECA. I got the NECA Flash Gordons. I got NECA Universal Monsters. I got, like I said, some of the Ninja Turtles. It would be impossible to read all the Ninja Turtles. They put out so much Ninja Turtles stuff. But yeah, like pretty much any action figure line that I collect, I'll go ahead and open on this channel. But the lion's share of it right now has been He-Man stuff and GI Joe stuff and DC stuff. It's been really heavy on DC lately, but I've got more GI Joe on the way because I've got in hand. I've got the GI Joe Classified Leatherneck and Starduster, and on the way soon I should have Saw Viper and what was the other one I ordered? I can't remember who the other one I ordered was. Crazy thing. Just can't remember. Oh, I do have an Iron Grenadier in hand also. So probably when I get when I get the Saw Viper and the character who I can't remember, then I'll probably start to open some of these other ones. Dial Tone? I've got a Dial Tone pre-ordered, but he hasn't shown up yet. So I don't know if it's just delayed or whatever, but they haven't seen him pop up yet. Radical Toy says, I like what Jada Toys has been doing. Lone Dragon says, Crop Duster? No, it's a Star Duster. He's a character from the cereal. Uh, what about Robotech? Is that one too old from the 80s? Do you collect those too? I would if I could find. I would really like to have the Macross fighter because I had the old the Jetfire from Transformers that used that mold. And then they started airing Robotech after I had that toy, and I'm like, oh, that's where this one comes from. That also explains why Skyfire is a completely different character, pretty much, on the Transformers cartoon. Lone Dragon says Xandar? Nobody remembers. That's how you know I'm a fan of the G.I. Joe comics. See, if you're a fan of the G.I. Joe comics, oh, Xandar, never heard of him, because nobody remembers Xandar. If you're a fan of the cartoon, then you're like, it's Zartan's brother, duh. They didn't have that gag on the cartoon. Radical Toy says, I mainly go for the retro card classified now. Those are really cool. I really like those. I've been opening a lot of those. I already opened this one on the show, but I do have an extra. I wound up snagging an extra when he was cheap on Walmart.com. So I got Stalker there. But I do, for the most part, like the retro figures better because they look more like the old figures that I grew up with. But that's just me. So did not see that. No, not cereal, like movie cereal. Cereal, like breakfast cereal. They had a G.I. Joe breakfast cereal, and one of the promotions they did for it was a mail-away action figure it was just kind of like one of those Franken Joes. They just put some new parts together, and there's a lot of different variants on them, but usually I think the most common version was the Hawk Flash short fuse head from 1982 on Duke's torso, and Rakondo's legs, and I forget whose arms. They might have been Rakondo's arms too, but he had gloves. And sometimes even Rakondo's chest. But yeah, it was basically like a repaint of a few parts they slammed together and gave him a jump pack, and he was the jetpack trooper. So that was the story of that. But we'll talk more about that when I get to this episode. Radical Toy says I was one of those kids who couldn't transform Transformers growing up, although I liked some characters like Soundwave. Well, Soundwave was one of the cooler ones. He was one of the cooler toys and one of the cooler characters, I think. Lone Dragon says there I was eating Mr. T cereal like a sucker. Well, I pity the fool who don't like his cereal. I am a big Mr. T fan. Like everybody growing up in the 80s was a big Mr. T fan, and have opened a couple of Mr. T action figures on this very channel. I hope to open more. Make more Mr. T action figures, Mattel. Alan says a few weeks ago I went to Target and they were selling Voltron and Thundercats. I can't believe they're bringing back the 80s. Yeah, I've seen. I haven't seen them in stores yet, but I've seen a lot of stuff online of Thundercat stuff that's coming out, like Masters of the Universe crossover stuff that we're finally going to get that we've wanted since the 80s. When we just have our He-Man figures fight our Thundercats figures, but they weren't the same size, so that was kind of disappointing. Yes, indeed, Pee-wee. Yeah, big fan of Pee-wee also. And Radical says, yeah, I like the A-Team. I'm going to be doing some custom A-Team figures coming up soon, because Don Menart Collectibles, that I subscribe to his Patreon, he did heads for all of the A-Team. He had Mr. T for a while, but he finally got around to doing the rest of the A-Team. So I've got Hannibal and Face and Murdoch to print out. So I just have to pick the right bodies to put them on. Like Mr. T, obviously I got him on a roadblock body because, what else are you going to use? But I got to find the right bodies to put the rest of the A-Team on. So I'm thinking about that. Got that ramen A-Team van coming soon. Oh, that should be cool. I don't know if I've seen that online. I probably have. Remember when Hulk Hogan did an episode of the A-Team. Yeah, I think that was where him and Mr. T became friends, and then they wound up teaming up at WrestleMania, which is how I got the Mr. T action figures in the first place. Those were WWE tie-in figures. WWF at that time. That was what we all called it back then. All right, I think that's pretty much everything I have to say about She-Ra. I hope you enjoyed the episode. She's definitely a great figure, and you should definitely pick her up. If you're a fan of the Masters of the Universe Origins figure, or just the action figure line in general, I mean, She-Ra, I think, is kind of one of those essential characters to He-Man that you just have to have She-Ra. You absolutely have to have She-Ra. And I do think that this one is a superior figure to the previous Origins She-Ra. They tried to make that one look more toy accurate, but I think they missed the mark as far as the soft goods go, like I said. And that was one, getting back to the rooted hair thing, that was one I think really could have benefited from having rooted hair. I get why this one doesn't have rooted hair, but that one, the hair on that one just looks so flat and generic. They might as well have just given it rooted hair. And that probably would have looked, that probably would have helped the I don't even know this thing, the headdress. That probably would have helped that fit better on that head too, because it never seems to want to stay on right on mine. So, but this one, it's all molded on, so I don't have to worry about it. Oh, and they definitely should do a figure of Princess Adora in her Force Captain outfit. She forced me, if you know what I mean. I kid. But yeah, great figure. I'm really happy to have her in my collection. I'm really happy with how it turned out. This is probably of all the She-Ra figures that I've had, this is probably the best one since the original. And I do have a lot of nostalgic affection for that original, but this one is really cool. And she looks just like on the cartoon, and that's a good thing. And unlike some of the cartoon style figures, the Origins tend to actually have gold bits, where they should, a lot of the times when they're trying to make it look more like the cartoon, they use like a matte, like a dark yellow, but this is actually gold. I should probably point that out. It's really cool. Captain Fun says, I'm making a custom Superman figure with the new movie costume. Face sculpt isn't great, but the costume is great. I gotta sew the figure in. All right, well, I will look forward to seeing that. So good thing I'm subscribed to your channel. She can Captain by Force. oh, we're horrible. I'm mostly fine. I'm mostly recovered from my cold, but that congestion was a killer. And it's the sort of thing where, like, if I'm usually like 90% of the time I'm fine, but if I breathe just the wrong way, then I start coughing again. Alan says, "Man, if I could ever get She-Ra, I would replace the sword with Thor's hammer. Because come to think of it, they both look similar, and both wear capes, and the heads, and both blondes. Maybe they're cousins. Who knows?" So if you are looking for this figure, I believe she is still available on Big Bad Toy Store. I think last time I checked, at least she was still there, so you can probably find her there. Anyway, that's it for this episode. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you like, subscribe, all the fun YouTube stuff down below. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about She-Ra, both this figure and the character in general. And let me know in the comments what your favorite She-Ra figure is and why. And we will talk to you next time. Bye. Oh, Captain Have Fun says, "Thanks, man. I'll get this one. You made me buy several figures." Again, I say you're welcome, and I'm sorry. All right, that's the end of this episode. We'll talk to you later. Bye.